Hey guys, it's KevyDog4, and now that the first round on Eastern Conference semifinals are over, I figured I'd do a halfway through the playoffs bracket overview so I can show you how my picks have changed and what happened with my original picks. So let's get started with this video. I'll start in the Western Conference. So over here, first round, I predicted Golden State sweeping Houston 4-0 because Golden State has the all-time best regular season record, and Houston just barely squeaked into the playoffs with help from Utah. So I predicted a sweep, but Golden State ended up losing one of these games. So I predicted the team right, but I did not predict the series correctly. So it ended up being 4-1, and Golden State ended up in the next round. That was the 1-8 game. I'll just have to scroll down because it doesn't all fit on the screen for some reason. So the 4-5 seed game in the West, it was LA versus Portland. I predicted it going 7 games, but Los Angeles getting the win here because Los Angeles has an older team. Portland's very young. They lost several starters at the beginning of the season to free agency and stuff, so I saw them as a young team with no playoff experience for the most part, and I didn't think they'd be able to figure out how to make it work, so I predicted 4-3, but Blake Griffin and Chris Paul both were injured in this series, and they just couldn't hang on, so Portland won 4-2. So this, I incorrectly predicted this series, and it ended up being 4-2, and this became Portland. So that's what happened with that series. This series, the 3-6 series, Oklahoma City Thunder, Dallas Mavericks. I predicted a 4-1 series because Oklahoma City didn't have as good of a record as San Antonio or Golden State, but they were still a very strong team, and I didn't see Dallas doing much coming in there, but being a veteran team, I know they had playoff experience. They went to the finals a few years back, and I saw them competing very well, just not winning very many of these games. And I predicted 4-1 Oklahoma City, and that's exactly what happened. So this was absolutely correct. That did happen. Oklahoma City advanced. Then I predicted a sweep down here. San Antonio, Memphis. I predicted a sweep here because once again San Antonio had they would have been the talk had it not have been the fact that Golden State had this record-breaking season. This was one of the best seasons that the NBA had seen in a while, too. It's just there was someone ahead of them as well, so it was kind of astounding to have two teams in the same conference doing this well at the same time. But I also predicted a sweep here, San Antonio and Memphis. And San Antonio did win this series, and they did sweep them. So, no, I don't think that's the same color I had before, is it? Nope. I have all these different colors going now. This is what I had. This is what I can just undo this, I don't think it wants to do that for me, though, so that's okay. You know what I mean here. So, yes. So, the West, I predicted 3 of the 4 series correctly, as in which teams were going to advance. So, the only one I had differently was Portland here. So, Golden State versus Portland, round 2 here. Oklahoma City, San Antonio, round 2 here. So, now let's go over to the East really quick, and I can tell you my outcomes over here. Cleveland and Detroit, I predicted 4-2 Cleveland winning. And the reason I didn't have Cleveland sweeping this series is because Detroit gave them a hard time during the regular season. I'm pretty sure they won 3 of the 4 regular season games. So I was just like, oh, well, they're probably going to give Cleveland a run for their money. Well, no, they didn't. It was a sweep. It was 4-0. So, but Cleveland did advance to the conference semis. And Atlanta versus Boston, I predicted 4-3 because these two teams were kind of back and forth throughout the entire season. They were right in those areas in the standings for most of the season. And the reason I put Atlanta on top of Boston is because they had a better run coming through the end of the season than Boston did. So I predicted Atlanta. Atlanta did win this series, but it was 4-2, 6 games, not 7. So Cleveland, Atlanta, yes, this series did happen. Now, this 3-6 series, Miami, Charlotte. The reason I predicted Charlotte would be there instead of Miami, no Chris Bosh. I was like, they have no chance. And Charlotte was very strong in the second half of the season. So I predicted Charlotte making it. They had their shot to take it 4-2 in Game 6, but they blew Game 6, and then they completely got destroyed Game 7. So Miami won this series, and Charlotte did not advance. They got eliminated. They had a good season, though. So this series I incorrectly predicted as well. Toronto, Indiana. I predicted 4-2 here because Indiana, yes, they're a 7-seed team. I didn't see them getting very far. And I saw Toronto coming out a lot stronger than Indiana. But this series ended up being very close. It was 4-3. Toronto did win this series. But considering their plagues of losing in the first round, Game 7 of playoffs that have been going on since they made it in a couple years ago, I was very concerned by the time the series started going on longer that they weren't going to make it, but they did. So we ended up having Miami versus Toronto in this game here, and Cleveland, Atlanta here. So this is the conference semifinals. And Golden State versus Portland here, and Oklahoma City versus San Antonio here. So let me see if I can undo this just so you can see better again, because I'm drawing all over the place here. And I wish I could undo this now. I can erase it, so you can see that. It's just erasing the top color, I think. What the heck? Huh, that's weird. I don't think it's even doing anything. Interesting. Okay. Let's just move on so I don't make this video too long. Anyways, I'll start out with the West again for the conference semis. Golden State, Portland. I didn't end up making another bracket for this, but considering that Los Angeles and Portland were both closely, they had similar records, and Portland came out of this series, this first round series, very strong. I just stuck with my pick of 4-2 here, but Golden State coming out on top. And Golden State did win this series. I'm going to use a different color now. They did win this series. It was 4-1 though instead of 4-2. But yes, they did advance to the conference finals. They are here. That series is going on right now. And down here, I predicted San Antonio being the opponent. Surprisingly, that did not happen. I don't even know what happened. I didn't watch any of the games. I predicted 4-3 San Antonio here. I was going to keep that pick. San Antonio completely dominated the first game. Oklahoma City even the series. San Antonio went back up, and then suddenly Oklahoma City won the last 3 games to take this series. Oops. I don't want to use green anymore because I did not correctly predict this series. I will use purple. So this is not what I saw happening. They lost 4-2, not 4-3. So now we have Oklahoma City in the conference finals. Oh, that's just, yeah, okay. So Golden State, Oklahoma City, this is the conference finals here. This series I predict being very competitive, but I will talk about that in a minute. Cleveland, Atlanta, I predicted 4-2 here as well because Atlanta once again was very good in the regular season. And I predicted that they would give them a bit of a run for their money. But that did not happen because Cleveland went on a 3-point barrage pretty much every game and they swept them here. Set a bunch of records and stuff. Cleveland won the series. And yes, they're in the conference finals. There they are. Miami, Toronto. I kept with my pick here, 4-3, because Miami, I figured if they could get past Charlotte that they would end up being very competitive in this series as well, but I wanted to stick with my pick for Toronto, because if Toronto could make it past the first round, I figured they could gain some confidence. So I stuck with my 4-3 pick, but I went with Toronto here instead of Miami. Toronto, yes, they won. So I guess I can just circle that, go with that. Toronto won this. Yes, 4-3. 2 Game 7s won in a row for Toronto, which is amazing because they never win those, I swear. So I need to cross this out and put Toronto here because Charlotte, I had them going all the way to the conference finals because I thought they'd get past Toronto, but nope, they didn't even get past the first round. So Cleveland, Toronto, 1 versus 2 seed, Golden State versus the Thunder, 1 versus 3 seed. Now I'm just going to talk about what I think's going to happen, or what I thought was going to happen at the beginning of this series and what I think's going to happen now. Let me find a different color here because I just need a different color. So I'll just start with the West here. Golden State, Oklahoma City. This series, I once again thought San Antonio was going to make it here to the conference finals, but they didn't. But I thought that if they made it, I was pretty sure San Antonio was going to get this series 4-3 because they're a veteran team. They've been here doing this for a long time. Golden State's younger. They know what it's like to win a championship. They know what it's like to be there. But I figured that San Antonio would know how to get the job done because they were one of the teams to beat Golden State in the regular season. But now it's Golden State versus Oklahoma City. I will tell you that the series is currently tied 1-1. I think the key to this series for Golden State is that, yes, Stephen Curry is very key to the team, but I also think that they're not going to win no matter how well Curry does, unless Klay Thompson produces as well. So I think Klay Thompson's pretty much key to this series, and for the Thunder, I think their key is Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant's had some off days, and it completely depends, but I think Kevin Durant needs to keep up the points, but Russell Westbrook needs to get the points and the assists, because in this series here, I found that he had double-digit assists throughout pretty much the entire series. So if he can keep that up in the Golden State series, I think that they will come out on top. I think Oklahoma City can definitely beat Golden State. They're definitely beatable. And if they don't beat them, they're going to give them a run for their money. So right now, I think that the Thunder can probably get them, but it's going to be in 7 games. No matter who wins this, it's going to be 7 games. So I'll just have my pick be Oklahoma City for this. And Cleveland versus Toronto. This series, Game 3 was today. In the first 2 games, I was just like, no way. There's no way Toronto can do this because they beat them so badly. But Toronto came around today, and they were on the opposite end of this. They won by like 15 points. So it's a 2-1 series now. This is definitely not going to be 4-2. Well, it could be 4-2, but I don't know. If Cleveland, the keys here for Cleveland are Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Both of them struggled tonight. If both of them have a bad night, if they don't bounce back, Toronto could get the momentum. They could tie it up, and then that Game 5 is going to be very key. Whoever wins that, I think, is going to have the advantage and is probably going to make it to the finals. I'm still going to stick with my Cleveland pick, but I don't know if it's going to be 4-2 or 4-3, but I don't think that they're going to win the next 2 in a row. I think that Toronto's going to squeak another win in there. But right now, I see Oklahoma City and Cleveland in there. And if Oklahoma City and Cleveland get in there, once again, it's going to be Durant and Westbrook are going to be the keys here. And for the Cavs, it's going to be Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Because if those two don't produce, everything goes downhill. So for It's going to be 4-3. Definitely going to be 4-3. But I think that Cleveland, considering how many games they won here, they swept this series, they won the first 2 in this series here, so they won 10 in a row on this side. If they can keep that momentum going, if they can bounce back from this loss tonight and get this run going again, I think they can easily win this finals. But the Thunder have also won a lot of games here. They only lost a game here. They lost 2 here. So they're coming in strong too. They've got a lot of confidence because they just beat San Antonio. They beat the Warriors once. We'll see how they bounce back too. But if they can beat the Warriors and come here, they're also going to have a lot of momentum coming. So that's why I see this series going 7 games. But I think Cleveland's probably going to win. I'm staying with that. So thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, and you can tell me what your picks are in the comments. And I will see you in my conference finals videos.